High Court in Malawi has ruled that the Chief Resident Magistrate Court in Lilongwe can proceed with the extradition proceedings of the man who claims to be a prophet, Shepherd Bushiri, and his wife. Judge Redson Kapindu says while the virtual proceedings are not prohibited, it can pose some risks. The matter relates to an application review regarding a ruling that South African witnesses should testify in person and not virtually at the extradition hearing. The couple's wanted here on allegations of fraud and money laundering in connection with an investment scheme worth 102 million rand. They fled our country to their homeland of Malawi in 2020, just after the Pretoria Central Magistrates Court granted them bail of 200,000 rand each.
That South Africa is a designated country under the Extradition Act, emphasizes the confidence that Malawian institutions are to have in South African courts in this regard. The court, therefore, so orders, and the subordinate court, having conduct of the extradition proceedings herein, is so directed. The record herein reverts to the Chief Resident Magistrate at Lilongwe to continue with the extradition committal proceedings.
Well, to get more on the legal decisions, we're joined now by the Malawian journalist, Yvonne Sundu. Yvonne, good evening to you, and thank you for joining us from Malawi. What was Shepherd Bushiri trying to do here? Was he trying to stop the entire proceeding at this point?
No, the issue was about the state wanting to not have the witnesses come from South Africa to testify in Malawi. That's what was happening. And in his ruling, High Court Judge Redson Kapindu has given two options. This is a ruling that has left both sides happy in the sense that the case has to continue, the extradition case has to continue. But then at the same time, the state has to present to the Chief Resident Magistrate enough evidence in order to have the witnesses come from South Africa to testify. Otherwise, there's also that option whereby the witnesses can testify in South Africa, in a South African court that is, and then a recording has to be sent to the Chief Resident Court in Malawi, Chief Resident Magistrate Court rather, in Malawi, and then the case is going to continue. So this was an application that was sought by the state and not necessarily the defense in this case.
It's taking a long time, and I mean, you know, we as South Africans think, well, this person must come back to our country and, I suppose we would say, face the music. He must face our court system. How do people in Malawi feel about it? I know that Shepherd Bushiri is very popular there.
Yeah, he is. But honestly, initially, the case used to generate a lot of interest among its Malawians. Slowly, the interest was, you know, dying down a little bit, and more especially this application where the state was trying to see whether the witnesses can come from South Africa to testify in Malawi. But oftentimes, whenever he's appearing at the Chief Resident Magistrates Court, rather, in Lilongwe, you get to find a sizable crowd of his, you know, followers, you know, attending the session together with him. But generally, the interest is not as huge as he used to when soon after he had just arrived after jumping borders in South Africa.
So what's going to happen now? How much longer could all of this take? Do you think that we'll get a decision at some point on whether he can be extradited here? Could it take several months, even years?
Honestly speaking, I'm looking at it as a case that is going to take quite a bit of time. Not just because it is a case to do with Bushiri, but generally speaking, cases in Malawi tend to take time. We've got cases that happened about 10 years ago, or close to 10 years ago, that are yet to be concluded. I am sure you are aware of the Cashgate scandal that happened in Malawi around 2012, 2013, and some cases have not been concluded, while others have been concluded, and we've had people, convicts rather, serving their jail sentence and then also walking out of prison. So generally, cases in Malawi quite take a bit of time. And then we are also looking at Bushiri, who is trying to fight to be extradited to South Africa because he believes that he's not going to face, you know, a good or a fair, rather, let me use the word fair trial. So he's going to also use whatever he can use at his disposal just to delay the case. So we might be looking at years or probably if it's going to be concluded as early as possible, then we should be looking at a month from now.
And Yvonne, how powerful is Shepherd Bushiri? I mean, it seems to us that he knows people in Malawi, that he's close to people who make decisions. I mean, is that true?
It is. He knows people, and wherever Bushiri has been, he has made it a point to be linked or to establish relations with people that are close to power, that are indeed in power. So probably he has used that to his advantage. So it is the same in Malawi. But obviously, you can't compare to how it was in South Africa, where he had built his base for quite some time. It's just now that he is trying to re-establish himself in Malawi after jumping borders in South Africa. So yes, he is quite popular in Malawi, but still his popularity still remains in South Africa. And also I would like to highlight and the wife, reintegrating themselves into the Malawian society. Just a few days ago, he was visiting one of the districts in the southern part of Malawi, in Choro to be precise, which is one of the districts that has been hit by tropical cyclone Anna. He was making a donation there, and this is not the first time he's doing that in recent years. But in terms of looking at popularity, he remains very popular in South Africa as compared to Malawi, and it's all because he spent quite some time in South Africa after starting to call himself as a prophet, compared to the number of years that he spent while in Malawi.
And his churches, are they operating in Malawi? Are they open for business?
They are. Every Sunday people are gathering. There's so many sessions that are taking place every Sunday, but it is not as it was in South Africa, where you could have the diplomatic service, the normal Sunday service. Here, like I said, he is trying to re-establish himself, because where he is actually congregating with these followers, much of those in Lilongwe, it's more of a makeshift church. He's in the process of constructing a church, a permanent building, let me call it that way, or a permanent home of the ECG. But still, he has quite a substantial numbers in terms of followers in Malawi, and there are some churches that are operating in other cities and then in other districts.
Yvonne Sundru, I really appreciate the update. Thank you very much indeed. A journalist in Malawi following that case, agreeing to speak to us tonight. Yvonne, thank you.